Good evening, this is Viewpoint. I'm Zaka Jacob. Arvind Kejriwal, on the last day of campaigning, is hit back at Kumar Vishwas and the allegations that he levelled against Mr. Kejriwal, asking a question. What were Mr. Modi and Mr. Rahul Gandhi doing if Arvind Kejriwal was allegedly linked to a terrorist? He says he doesn't take Kumar Vishwas's allegations seriously, but the point is he has been forced to respond to these allegations, and that too in the final hours of campaigning. Two questions. One, for the likes of the Congress and the BJP and others, is this betraying a sense of nervousness ahead of polls among the other parties, given the fact that AAP seems to be the leading player in Punjab? And for the Aam Aadmi Party, did the mistake of 2017, and you remember this, Aam Aadmi Party convener Mr. Kejriwal spent a night at the residence of an alleged terrorist in Moga just days before the election, and that became a big rallying point against the Aam Aadmi Party. So will that, the mistake of 2017, still come back to haunt the Aam Aadmi Party?
शायद मैं दुनिया का सबसे स्वीट आतंकवादी होऊंगा जो लोगों के लिए अस्पताल बनवाता है, लोगों के लिए स्कूल बनवाता है। हो सकता है उसने हास्य कविता करी हो, इन्होंने सबने सीरियसली ले लिया और कहना चालू कर दिया कि वो तो कवि है, कुछ भी कह देता है।
ये स्पष्ट दिखाता है कि उनकी सोच, उनके मंसूबे क्या हैं।
ये जो लोग देश को तोड़ना चाहते हैं, उन लोगों के साथ इन्होंने हाथ मिलाए हुए थे।
उन्हीं के साथी ने जो आरोप लगाया है वो बहुत खतरनाक है।
All right, let's bring in our guests on this because clearly the Aam Aadmi Party could have chosen to ignore this, but at the end of the day, they had been forced to react. Arvind Kejriwal himself has been forced to react, and that too on the last day of campaigning. Gopal Agarwal is BJP spokesperson, Hemant Attri, senior journalist, joining us. Ashpreet Kadyal will be joining us. He's a Punjab Congress spokesperson, and Dr. Kanwalpreet Kaur, political analyst. Gopal Agarwal, the Aam Aadmi Party is saying, what sort of ludicrous allegations are these? Can anyone believe that a two-term chief minister of Delhi has terrorist links? This just betrays nervousness on the part of both the BJP and the Congress that the Aam Aadmi Party is winning Punjab. Please respond.
Zaka, it is not only the direct link, it is the thought process or ideology which is being supported by the Arvind Kejriwal in AAP party. There are several incidences which shows that he has certain links and softness towards the separatists who are operating in Punjab. There are several incidents. We have seen this at the time of farmers' agitation. We have seen this at the time of surgical strike. We have seen currently the allegation which has been levied against him by his own partyman who was well confident of him. These are several issues. And then there are issues about how the way he is operating in Punjab. So the together.
No, but Gopalji, he's asking a very simple question. If you have so much evidence of him having quote-unquote terrorist links, then go ahead, file an FIR, arrest him.
No, we are not saying there is an evidence or thing. The thing is the ideological of the Arvind Kejriwal and AAP shows that he is supportive of separatist element. And this allegation, he has to answer it. The allegation is from his party man. Allegations are from them. It is not that legally he has now been convicted of separatism.
Of course, no. What politically, he had a press conference today, and I said this also. He was forced to respond to this controversy, which has developed just in the last 2 days, and he is basically saying, "आपके पास अगर सबूत है, तो आप arrest कीजिए उनको, FIR दर्ज कीजिए."
नहीं तो सबूत अभी होता तो फिर तो वो जेल में होता ना. The thing is, at present there is an allegation. Okay. And the issue is not direct link with that separatist. The issue for Punjab is it's a border area.
Okay.
The way he is supporting the separatist ideological
Let me ask Hemant Attri, you know, the reason why this story has sort of got a life of its own is because everybody remembers what happened in 2017. Mr. Kejriwal spent a night at the residence of an alleged terrorist. I think his name was Gurbinder Singh in Moga. 2 days after that, there was a minor blast that happened in one of the main markets there. And that became a huge Achilles heel for Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party, certainly in 2017. The question, though, Hemant, is that issue and those links and those memories still alive today, 5 years on, or are the people of Punjab looking at AAP very differently this time?
Zaka, first of all, we have to understand who has raked up this issue. It is by none other than his own ex-colleague, Mr. Kumar Vishwas. No political party, his own colleague. And what he is asking for only two questions, yes or no. Whether he conspired to become a Punjab Chief Minister last time around, yes or no. Number one. Number two,
but Hemant, everybody knows in Punjab and across the country, everybody knows that Kumar Vishwas and Arvind Kejriwal have had a bitter fallout.
No problem, Jacob. That is not the issue. Issue is simple. Nobody has called Mr. Arvind Kejriwal as a terrorist. Nobody has called him. He himself is calling him to be a sweet terrorist. My question is something different, Zaka. See, you may be, playing this kind of game. What you are doing today as a victim card, that's what we call.
Okay.
But the real issue is he has asked you only two questions, after which Prime Minister and Rahul Gandhi has started also. Rahul Gandhi has just now tweeted also and asked the same thing, yes or no. My thing is very, very simple. What was the problem? Where was the problem for Mr. Arvind Kejriwal just to say yes or no? He said it or not. Furthermore, Kumar Vishwas is saying that he is ready to debate it on any public platform, maybe a TV channel or on any public platform. Mr. Kejriwal has not accepted to that.
Okay.
The issue is not of terrorism or something. Issue is of something very, very serious in nature. Punjab being a border state, being a sensitive state, across there is Punjab, Pakistan also. What he needed to do was simply say yes or no, and that's it.
Okay.
He didn't say that.
All right. No, but I want. But here's the thing. No, one second. Hemant, the problem is, and I want to ask Arshdeep Kadyal this. The problem is, this is not the issue that people of Punjab seem to care most about. People of Punjab seem to care most about the drug problem, which your party, and I remember Amrinder Singh, kept his hand on a holy book of the Sikh religion and said, I will get rid of drugs in 4 weeks. Kuch nahi hua. People of Punjab are worried about unemployment. People of Punjab are worried about migration. Young kids today have no employment in Punjab. They are happy to, get away to Canada or UK. What have you, the Congress government, done in the last 5 years? That is the most important issue in this election. And these, the Aam Aadmi Party and Kejriwal are saying, are just side distractions. Arshdeep.
Kindly allow me an uninterrupted minute. First of all, there's no bigger issue than this one because Kejriwal Sahab has been accused by his former ally, a national executive member of the Aam Aadmi Party, allegedly also a co-founder and a great friend of his, has exposed Kejriwal and has said that he took the support of Khalistani supporters in 2017. Is it a small issue? And also said that he allegedly said that Punjab should be an independent country, and of that first independent country, he would be the Prime Minister of Punjab. And second of all, he also said that he wants to create a dispute between Mr. H.S. Polka and Bhagwant Mann and want to take over their seat. Has also told that he wants to use Mr. Mann as a remote control so that he can call the shots from Delhi. Now, these small issues, and second of all, we have some important questions.
No, Mr. Kadyal, first of all, I keep coming back. No, 1 second. I keep coming back. Do you seriously think that these are the most important issues for the people of Punjab? Are you seriously on national television saying that this is what the people of Punjab should be most concerned about today, 2 days before polls? I mean, let's talk about jobs. Let's talk about unemployment. Let's talk about, the drug problem which you promised to eradicate. You're running away from all of that. आपने क्या किया बताइए ड्रग्स के बारे में आपने क्या किया tell us what you've done.
Kindly give me a minute.
No, I know I gave you more than a minute, but you are not answering the real issues of Punjab. You are going on and on about issues which frankly I don't think people of Punjab care about.
Kindly hear me out.
Yeah, I am hearing you out, but answer my question. Don't beat around the bush. I don't have all the time in the world. Don't beat around the bush, Mr. Kadyal. Answer the point.
Sahab, kindly allow me to answer if you have called me on this debate, please.
Yeah, and you don't need to call me Sahab, boss. I'm not your Sahab.
I beg your pardon. I'll choose the words I want to if I think they're
No, if you're referring to me, then I can take offense to the words you're using. No.
77,000 cases have been registered. If you would stop heckling me, I'll be able to answer your question. 77,000 cases have been registered against drug peddlers. Punjab was the first state that asked for death penalty for a first-time offender. And about jobs, 16 lakh jobs have been given.
Drugs are today as freely available in Punjab as it was 4.5, 5 years ago, when Mr. Amrinder Singh promised on the holy book of Sikhism that he will get rid of drugs in 4 weeks. Kya hua? Kuch nahi hua. Kuch nahi hua. You have not done anything.
The issue of Punjab staying in India is important for the people of Punjab.
Mr. Khadiyal, if it was so important, why did you bring it up only 48 hours before the campaigning got over? What were you doing all along? What were you and your party doing all along? Kuch nahi kar rahe the aap.
To divide Punjab from India.
No, one second. Either this issue, if it's that important, it's okay. I've heard you, Mr. Khadiyal. I've given you more than enough time. So please keep quiet. I'm going to the next guest. Otherwise, I'll be forced to pull your fader down. I'm going to the next guest. Kawalpreet Kaur. The point is, nobody is saying that this is an unimportant issue. Of course, it is an important issue. It is up to Mr. Kejriwal to clarify. Today, on the last day of campaigning, he's come out and said that, look, this is, as far as he's concerned, in his words, he says this is a complete joke. I don't even take these allegations seriously. The point is, if it is an important issue, and I agree it's an important issue, this should have been raised through the campaign. The fact that, Kumar Vishwas waited till the last 48 hours to rake this issue up, somehow it just doesn't add up, number one. And number two, I keep coming back to this question. Is this the most important issue in the polls of Punjab? Is this the issue that the voter of Punjab most cares about?
You are very right when you said there are bigger problems. It's not that terrorism is a small problem. You have to know that I'm a very worried Punjabi today. I'm a very worried citizen of India today. We have grown up in 2 decades of terrorism.
Yeah.
And if somebody makes that character assassination on a person, on a public figure, he should answer. And he has no right to call himself a sweet terrorist. Can a terrorist be sweet? We have done our studies during terrorism, and mind you, there were no computers then. We had to do self-study, and every day we would get up to read so many people from buses have been shot down and so and so. So this is a very important issue. But at the moment, see, even during farmers' protests, there were provocations that they are Khalistanis. Please give credit to the people of Punjab, Hindus, Sikhs, Muslim, Christians, that they have not been provoked. And the provocation has not been only during farmers' protests. It's been abroad through many channels. But the people of Punjab we have seen 2 decades of terrorism. When everything was shut down.
No, but don't you believe, Kawalpreet Kaur, don't you believe that it is incumbent upon Mr. Kejriwal to clarify on this? Not only because, like you said, the issue is so relevant and the issue is so important, and of course, Punjab has seen the brunt of terrorism for 2 decades plus. But also, some explanation about why a certain Mr. Pannoon is supporting him, some explanation about, why he had to go to the house of this gentleman who then later was tried for terror charges, and 2 days after that there was a bomb blast in the market in Moga. I mean, are these important questions? Are these questions that deserve an answer?
They've become very important since yesterday, since the funeral of Deep Sidhu. Because I was aghast to see I was aghast to hear so many slogans, for Khalistan and so on. What are people, and they were, fortunately or unfortunately, those in that gathering, there were more of young people who were raising that slogan, who haven't seen decades of terrorism. Well, we as elders can handle them, through our classroom.
No, I think that is what you're saying is
100%
right, Kawalpreet Kaur. I think what you raised is absolutely on point, because those images from Deep Sidhu's funeral and young kids there raising Khalistan slogans, that is absolutely worrisome. So I want to ask Hemant Attri, if there is this undercurrent that various characters are feeding off on, then the onus on Mr. Kejriwal was much more to come out and say that, look, I have nothing to do with this, and I condemn all forms of terrorism, separatism, even soft separatism, even the idea that some people are thinking of secession or whatever it is. He should have condemned it absolutely unequivocally. In fact, done it 10 times over because of this issue and the sensitivity of this issue in Punjab. The question, though, is, like it did last time in 2017, will this prove to be politically costly for Mr. Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party?
Zaka, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is a very shrewd politician. And if you go by the instances which have been happening for last 2 days, once Mr. Kumar Vishwas raked this issue up, he kept mum. He tested waters till today, afternoon. And only after feeling that there might be a resonance with the people, he decided to react. Otherwise, the second line or third line, they were reacting to these allegations and they were outrightly rubbishing them. Now, the issue is simple. What Mr. Again, I would be saying that what Mr. Kumar Vishwas has said, Arvind Kejriwal, as you rightly pointed out, has not rejected those claims or those allegations. That is important. And there is one more interesting fact, Chaka, which I would like to add to this. In this particular election, as you were pointing out, two things are very interesting. Congress ruled the state for 5 years.
Yeah.
They can't claim credit for their 4.5 years regime. For the very simple reason, they had their government, but now they only claim the successes of Mr. Channi. And simultaneously, BJP, who should have taken them head on, Congress's then chief minister is with them. So the real issues of Punjab, no party is able to take up the way they should have been taken up.
Okay.
BJP should have been the first in place who should have challenged Congress of their failures.
Okay, I want to ask Gopal Agarwal that. I mean, has that hemmed you in, the fact that Captain Amrinder Singh is now on your side, your alliance partners with his party, therefore you can't attack, or at least be seen as attacking his government and his government's record of 4.5 years?
Zaka, we have to understand that national security and the separatist movements are always important in the national life. There are issues other than that also in Punjab, but the issue at present is about the movement of separatism which the country and the Punjab has seen for several decades. That is very important, and the Punjab has suffered with it. Country has suffered by the separatist movement. There are foreign elements which are impacting the national security. We have seen them. They are operating through Tukde Tukde gang. They are operating through other issues in the Kisan Andolan. Okay. There are issues. So this, you cannot say that if there is a drug issue or employment issue, then this issue is not take the center stage.
No, the reason I was Gopalji, the reason I was asking that, I didn't for a moment say that this is not an important issue. Of course, it's an important issue, but why is this important issue reserved for the last 48 hours before the campaign ends? This should have been debated right from day one.
No, but it is for Kumar Vishwas to answer it, or Arvind Kejriwal to answer it. Because in 2017 also there was an issue, and he has been doing with the same thing of activities of separatist ideological. His actions are also pointing out toward these things.
Okay.
But whether he has a direct link with the separatist is a different issue.
Arshdeep Kadyal, I'll give you the final word. It again comes back to, what is the Punjab voter going to vote on? Is it going to be the bread and butter issues, livelihood issues, or is it going to be emotional issues like this one? Like Kanwarpreet Kaur said, I think she's 100% right. What is of concern is these young kids raising pro-Khalistan slogans at Deep Sidhu's farewell. None of these young kids have seen the decade of the 80s and what Punjab had to go through. So that is deeply concerning. And many of these young kids would happen to be first-time voters as well.
Exactly. You just mentioned yourself, these kids don't know what happened back in the day. That's why this matter is so important. It's the paramount issue we have at hand. Somebody wanting Punjab to be divided, somebody wanting Punjab to become an independent state. What possibly could be more important than that? And second of all, they say, that we want, Kejriwal Sahab says that I wasn't told where I was being taken to. CM's security detail is very, very analytical. They vet the place he goes to, the people he meets with, stays with. We don't know what was discussed, what happened, what transpired. It could be something way bigger. And Kumar Vishwas said in another bite that I'll expose you even more if Chintu Saab Zaka does not debate with me. And third, let me tell you one more thing. The dots are connecting because Khalistani Liberation Front's Gurvinder Singh, he stayed at his house, NRI funding was there, he took the support of Khalistani supporters, and according to Mr. Kejriwal, only he is honest. Rest of the world is crooked. Kumar Vishwas is crooked, Gul Panag is crooked, Alka Lamba is crooked, all the leaders, Saurabh Jain, Ashok Mittal,
I got to
Ashu
move on to this
Bhagat,
piece of
farmers
breaking
also.
news. I want
So
to
many
thank
people
all
have
the
accused
guests.
of so many things.
I'm getting this
He's
piece of
not the
breaking
only
news which I
honest
need to
person.
go on to. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This one again very important because Abhishek Banerjee, the nephew of TMC Supremo Mamata Banerjee, has now been reinstated as the National General Secretary of the Trinamool Congress. Remember, this is a big back and forth that was going on apparently between the nephew and the Chief Minister of Bengal, Mamata Banerjee. That feud, at least for the moment, temporarily seems to have been papered over as Abhishek Banerjee gets his role back. Let me go across to Kamalika, who has more details on this. So all is well now that Abhishek Banerjee has been reinstated as the General Secretary. The question that's being asked is, what then was the fuss all about?
You know, the fuss was about a section of senior leaders and their differences with Abhishek Banerjee. Raka, if you remember that we did a story, we spoke with Abhishek Banerjee, who told us that he has no differences with Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. He refuted the narrative that was set that there is a difference between the Chief Minister and the National General Secretary Abhishek Banerjee. He said that Mamata Banerjee is his guiding light and she is the inspiration. She is the person who has given birth to Trinamool Congress. So question that there will be any differences between him and the Chief Minister. But on the other hand, one thing is very clear, as we know, Trinamool Congress, that a section of senior leaders, they had differences with Abhishek Banerjee, and there where the tussle was going inside the party. And Mamata Banerjee rightly, she formed the 20-member committee. She balanced the party by putting her weight putting her weight on the seniors. She supported the seniors also. She tried to balance the party, and now...
No, but Kamalika, what signal, what message does this send out to those seniors who seem to have a problem with Abhishek Banerjee? Is Mamata Banerjee sending out a signal to them as well?
Mamata Banerjee is clearly trying to balance the party. That's what the political analysts are saying. The old guard, they were there with Mamata Banerjee during Singur Andolan, during Nandigram Andolan, and all the protests she had. She came into power with all her old guards together. So the old guards will be there as well as the new guards also will be there. There has to be an amalgamation between the two. That's what the message was set out clearly, that there has to be an unity in the party. The old guard has to guard and the new guard has to work with the old guard.
If that unity does indeed persist between the old guard and the new. For now, Abhishek Banerjee getting back his role as National General Secretary of the Trinamool. Meanwhile, let's shift focus to Karnataka now, where the hijab hearing continues in the Karnataka High Court. And in a series of arguments today presented by the Advocate General, he told the High Court that the practice of hijab does not fall within the essential practices of Islam. The State Advocate General also argued that prescription of uniform has been in place since 2013 and that the attack on the government order is irrational. The charge that the order is discriminatory against Muslim students is baseless. Meanwhile, this issue also finding resonance in the Karnataka State Assembly. Let's listen into D.K. Shivkumar.
The government is creating a confusion in the minds of students. Their education has been in a big stake. They are just trying to politicalize the minds of the children. First, they should stop it. It's the responsibility of any government. They have entirely failed in it. I think they will have to pay a big price for it.
All right, so the arguments continuing in the Karnataka High Court. It will continue on Monday as well. It's been on for the better part of the last week plus now. And the court wanting to go into the details of A, the practices, and B, how long it has been in place. And of course, ultimately trying to answer the question, the constitutional question, whether the wearing of the hijab is an essential religious practice under Islam. The AG, the Advocate General today, presenting his argument, said two very, very critical things. Number one, that this uniform order was in place since 2013. So whether it's these girls or their seniors, they had to follow this particular uniform order for the last 7 or 8 years. And secondly, his argument was also, and he gave a series of examples and illustrations for this as to why wearing of the hijab is not to be considered as an essential religious practice under Islam. Now, it is up to the court to decide which side to weigh in on, but it's clear that the court is not in a hurry to pass a final order in this. Remember, the court had passed an interim order a few days ago, just at the start of the hearing, that schools and colleges should resume until such time that the court does not adjudicate upon and dispose this matter. All students will have to leave all religious symbols outside the classroom, whether it is a hijab, whether it is a saffron shawl, etc. Harish is now joining us live. Harish Upadhyay. Harish, just very quickly, the Advocate General's arguments in court, one thing that caught everyone's attention was that this particular order for a dress code has been in existence and has been implemented since 2013. So then it's clear that these 6 girls were raking it up just recently, having followed it all this while.
Well, the government kind of putting out the whole timeline to convince the court that there was always a dress code and this wasn't an abrupt decision of the government. And second, that even these students knew about the dress code much before they took the admission. So the government trying to make a point that this wasn't something that the government was trying to establish in the month of December when the protest started. That's one. Second, the larger question the government is struggling to answer is whether the CDC, the college committees, college development committees have the legal backing. The court asked some very pointed questions on whether this has been formed based on a circular signed by an undersecretary level officer, not even a government order. So can it be admitted? The second point is, if there is a MLA who's heading the CDC, then is it not open to scrutiny because there will be allegations of political interferences, especially if he's the one who's deciding how the committee gets constituted.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much, Harish Upadhyay, for joining us from Bangalore with the details of the court hearing today. That's a wrap. I'll catch you again at 9 p.m. with Brass Tacks. Shivani will join you on the other side.